7 years ago, I was staring at my banking app, refreshing it over and over like something was going to magically change. It didn't. The balance was still negative. I still had 3 bills due that week, and I still had that sinking, embarrassed feeling in my chest that I was never going to figure money out. Back then, a $50 overdraft fee could ruin my month. Today, I can lose more than that in a single minute on an investment and stay completely calm because I know exactly who I am with money now. I'm a multi-millionaire, and it started with 9 sentences I repeated to myself every single day. Now, before you click away thinking this is some fluffy, just say I'm rich and the universe will deliver nonsense, listen carefully. I didn't chant my way into a Lambo. I didn't sit on my couch and manifest wire transfers. What I did was far more practical and honestly, a lot more uncomfortable. I used affirmations as a way to reprogram how I think, feel, and act around money. I used them like mental code. And those tiny shifts in identity and behavior are what turned me from the person overdrafting their account into the person who can generate hundreds of thousands, even millions in a year. Here's the wild part. The 9 affirmations I'm about to share with you are not the ones you've seen 1,000 times on Pinterest quotes or Instagram reels. In fact, one of them made me physically cringe when I first tried to say it out loud. I could barely get the words out. My throat tightened, my stomach dropped, and my brain screamed, "Who do you think you are?" That exact affirmation, the one that felt like a lie at the beginning, is the one that's made me the most money. It's responsible for at least 7 figures of my net worth. That's affirmation number 7, and I'm going to give it to you a little later in this video. So here's my promise to you. If you've ever told yourself, I'm just not a money person, if you've ever felt guilty wanting more, or if you've ever sabotaged yourself right when things started going well, stay with me. These 9 affirmations are the ones I wish someone had handed me when my account was in the red and my confidence was below 0. Because once you change the way you talk to yourself about money, you can't help but change the way you make it, keep it, and grow it.
If you're still here, it's probably because some part of that story felt a little too familiar. Maybe you've had that moment staring at your bank account, doing mental gymnastics to figure out what to pay first. Maybe you've told yourself, I'm just not good with money, or people like me don't become rich. If that's you, this video isn't just motivation, it's a playbook. Because the truth is, the way you talk to yourself about money is either building your future or quietly destroying it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 9 affirmations that rewired my brain for wealth. Not in a vague, think happy thoughts way, but in a specific, practical way you can actually use. For each affirmation, I'll give you the exact sentence I repeated, how I applied it in my real life when I was still broke, and one concrete action you can take today to start shifting your own money reality. By the end, you won't just have a list of feel-good phrases, you'll have a mini system you can plug straight into your daily routine. Yes, strategy mattered. Yes, I built skills, started businesses, invested. But none of that stuck, none of it scaled until I fixed the conversation happening in my own head. My income rose in direct proportion to how I saw myself, what I believed I deserved, and what I was willing to do every single day. That's what these affirmations changed for me. And just so we're crystal clear, this is not about closing your eyes, whispering I am rich 50 times, and waiting for a check to appear in the mail. This is about giving your brain new instructions so it stops dragging you back to the same old patterns, undercharging, overspending, hiding from opportunities, self-sabotaging when you start to win. When you change those instructions, your decisions change, and when your decisions change consistently, your bank balance has no choice but to follow. Before we dive into affirmation number 1, though, we need to clean up one big misconception about affirmations themselves. Because if you use them the wrong way, they won't just fail, they can actually make you feel worse. Let's fix that first.
Let's be honest. For a lot of people, the word affirmations feels a little cringe. Maybe you've seen those clips of people staring into a mirror, forcing a smile, saying, I am rich, I am successful, while everything in their life screams the opposite. If that's your image of affirmations, no wonder you don't take them seriously. I didn't either. For a long time, I thought affirmations were basically lying to yourself with extra steps. And if that's how you use them, they don't just not work. They can actually make you feel more like a fraud because there's this giant gap between what you're saying and what you're living. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. Affirmations are not magic spells. You don't chant money into your bank account. Affirmations are mental instructions. They are the code you feed your brain so it knows what to look for, what to act on, and what to reject. Your brain is already running affirmations every single day. They just sound like, I'm bad with money, I'll never get ahead, rich people are greedy, I always mess this up. Those are affirmations too. You're repeating them, you believe them, and your brain is working hard to prove them right. What I started doing was replacing those old automatic affirmations with intentional ones that lined up with the life I actually wanted. Not wild fantasies I couldn't believe, but specific identities and instructions. Who I am with money, what I deserve, what I do every day, how I handle failure, how much I'm willing to receive. When you repeat those kinds of affirmations, something subtle but powerful happens. Your brain starts filtering your world differently. You notice opportunities you used to ignore. You tolerate less nonsense from yourself and from others. You make braver decisions because they finally feel in character for you. Here's the key idea I want you to remember for the rest of this video. Your income rarely exceeds your identity. If deep down you see yourself as someone who just gets by, you will sabotage anything that looks like real abundance. These 9 affirmations are how I upgraded that identity first. The money that followed was a side effect of me becoming a different person with money. And I'm going to keep this insanely practical. For each affirmation, I'll give you the exact sentence I used, I'll tell you how it showed up in my real life when I was still struggling, and I'll give you one simple action you can take to lock it in. No fluff, no pretending, just new instructions for your brain and new behavior to back it up. With that in mind, let's start with the first belief that kept me broke for way too long, and the first affirmation that finally broke it.
For most of my life, my money identity was simple. I was the person who just never had enough. I was the friend who always said, I can't, I'm broke. I was the employee who was grateful just to have a job, even when I was underpaid and overworked. If you had asked me back then, are you a money person? I would have laughed and said, absolutely not. And that identity, that quiet story I told myself about who I was, dictated everything. It was the reason I didn't apply for better jobs, didn't pitch bigger clients, didn't even see opportunities right in front of me. My bank account was just a reflection of the character I believed I was playing in life. So affirmation number 1 had to attack that at the root. I wrote it down like this: I am the kind of person who creates massive value and gets paid accordingly. That might sound simple, but for me, it was radical. Up until then, I saw myself as someone who was lucky to be paid at all. I never connected my value to the problems I could solve. The first time I wrote that sentence, it felt weird. Massive value? Me? My brain pushed back hard, but I kept going. Every morning, before I checked my phone, before I checked my email, I would sit down, write that line 10 times, and say it out loud. Here's what started to change. Instead of asking, how can I get more money? I began asking, how can I create more value? At my job, that meant taking ownership of projects instead of just doing the bare minimum. It meant suggesting improvements, backing them up with results, and tracking the revenue I helped bring in. Within a few months, that shift gave me the confidence to ask for a raise I would have never dreamed of asking for before. When I started freelancing, the same affirmation is what pushed me to stop charging whatever feels safe and start charging based on the value I was creating for clients. I want you to try this right now. If you had to sum up your current money identity in one sentence, what would it be? Be honest. Maybe it's, I'm always behind, or I'm just not good with money. Write that sentence down. Look at it. That is the script you've been running. Now, underneath it, rewrite it into who you actually want to be with money. Borrow mine if you need to. I am the kind of person who creates massive value and gets paid accordingly. Then for the next 30 days, I want you to ask yourself one question every morning. If this were true about me, what would I do today? And then do one thing that lines up with that identity. Because once your identity starts to shift from I'm just getting by to I'm a person who creates and deserves serious value, everything else becomes possible. But identity alone isn't enough. The next wall I hit was even deeper. I didn't believe I actually deserved to be paid more, no matter how valuable I was. That's where affirmation number 2 came in.
Identity was the first domino, but it didn't magically solve everything. Even after I started to see myself as someone who creates massive value, there was this invisible ceiling I kept hitting. I'd get opportunities, and then I'd discount myself. I'd quote a price, and then immediately say, "But I can give you a deal." Someone would try to pay me a compliment or pay me well, and I'd feel this weird mix of guilt and discomfort, like I was taking something I wasn't really entitled to. Intellectually, I could see I was helping people, but emotionally, I still felt like I didn't fully deserve more money. A lot of that came from the stories I grew up around. Rich people are greedy. If you have more, someone else has less. Good people don't care about money. So every time I tried to charge more or ask for a raise, it felt like I was crossing some moral line. Maybe you felt that too, that tightening in your chest when you think about asking to be paid what you're worth. That little voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are to ask for that?" The second affirmation I used went straight at that belief. I deserve to be well compensated for the value I create. Not for existing, not for doing nothing, for the value I create. That wording mattered to me because it kept me grounded. I wasn't trying to convince myself I deserved piles of cash for no reason. I was reminding myself that when I solve real problems, save people time, make them money, reduce their stress, or change their lives, it is not only okay to be paid well for that, it's fair. I remember the first time I really put this to the test. I was freelancing on the side, and I had a client inquiry come in. In my head, I immediately thought, charge $500. It's safe, they'll say yes. But I had been working with this affirmation for a few weeks, writing it, saying it, sitting with it when it felt uncomfortable. So I stopped and asked myself, if I truly believed I deserved to be well compensated for the value I create, what number would I feel slightly nervous but honest about? The real number was $2,000, 4 times more than I usually charged. My hands were literally shaking when I sent that proposal. I was waiting for them to say, "Are you kidding me?" or just ghost me completely. Instead, they wrote back, "Sounds fair. When can you start?" That single decision didn't just make me $1,500 more on that project. It permanently reset what I believed was possible for me to charge. Here's what I want you to do with this. Think about one area of your life where you consistently under-earn or undercharge. It might be your salary, your freelance rates, your business pricing, or even the way you let people pay you in appreciation instead of money. Write this affirmation down. I deserve to be well compensated for the value I create. Sit with it. Say it out loud. Notice any guilt, any tension, any voice telling you it's too much. That's exactly the belief we're rewriting. Then I want you to take one action that lines up with it. That could be asking for a raise you've been putting off, updating your prices, stopping the automatic discounts, or finally sending that proposal at the number you know is fair, not just safe. Even if you only nudge it a little, the point is to prove to yourself that you can ask for more and the world doesn't end. Once I broke through that deservingness wall, something else became obvious. None of these new beliefs matter if you keep living the same way. Feeling worthy is powerful, but without consistent, uncomfortable action, it's just a nice idea. That's why the next affirmation I used was all about what I was willing to do every single day to grow my income. Here's where a lot of people get stuck. They read the books, watch the videos, write the affirmations, and then live the exact same day on repeat. That was me for a long time. I knew I was valuable. I was starting to believe I deserved to be paid well. But my actual behavior? Refreshing my email, hoping for opportunities instead of creating them. Making plans in my notebook instead of offers in the real world. Telling myself I was getting ready, when really I was just hiding. At some point, I had to admit, no affirmation in the world was going to change my bank account if my daily actions didn't change with it. So affirmation number 3 became the bridge between who I believed I could be and what I was actually doing. I wrote it like this. Every day, I take one uncomfortable step that grows my net worth. Not every now and then, not when I feel ready. Every day, one step. And it had to be uncomfortable because all the comfortable actions were already giving me the results I had.
The only way my reality was going to change is if my behavior started crossing that line between what felt safe and what felt slightly scary. When I first committed to this, I made a simple rule. Before I went to bed, I had to be able to point to one thing I did that day that stretched me financially. Some days, it was reaching out to a potential client cold, even though my brain told me I was being annoying. Other days, it was posting an offer publicly, knowing people could judge me. Sometimes, it was sending an invoice I'd been procrastinating on, or finally raising my rates instead of quietly resenting clients. One of the scariest was walking into my boss's office and asking for a conversation about my compensation with actual numbers prepared. None of those actions were huge on their own, but stacked day after day, they completely changed my trajectory. This affirmation worked because it was specific and actionable. Every day gave it a non-negotiable rhythm. One step made it simple enough that I couldn't justify doing nothing. And uncomfortable made sure it was something that actually stretched me, something that, if repeated over time, would change my income, my skills, and my opportunities. I wrote this line at the top of my to-do list every morning, and right underneath it, I'd answer one question: what is my one uncomfortable money move today? I wouldn't let myself end the day until I'd done it. I want you to try this on, starting today. Write down, every day, I take one uncomfortable step that grows my net worth. Say it out loud, then immediately decide what today's step is going to be. It could be applying for a better job instead of just thinking about it. It could be messaging 3 potential clients. It could be finally opening that investment account or canceling a subscription that's quietly draining you. The size of the step matters less than the consistency. Your identity shifts fastest when your actions line up with it, over and over again. Once I started living by this affirmation, things moved faster than I expected. Doors opened that had always been there, I just hadn't been knocking. But there was still a problem. Even as I was taking more action and making more money, I was carrying a constant low-grade anxiety about losing it. I was thinking small, hoarding, operating from fear. That's when I realized my entire relationship with money itself needed to change. And that's exactly what affirmation number 4 did for me. Before we dive into that, I want to pause for a second and acknowledge something important. If you're still watching right now, you are not a casual scroller. Most people click on a video like this, hear affirmations, and bounce in under 30 seconds. The fact that you're here, listening, reflecting on your own patterns, tells me you're actually serious about changing your money reality, not just being entertained by the idea of it. That's exactly who I make these videos for. On this channel, I talk about both sides of wealth: the inner game, beliefs, identity, mindset, and the outer game, skills, business models, investing, the real numbers behind how I actually became a multimillionaire. If you're someone who wants to fix what's going on in your head and learn what to do with your hands, this is your corner of the internet. So if you haven't already, take 2 seconds right now and hit subscribe. Not because it makes the algorithm happy, although it does, but because I'm building a library here that I wish I had when I was overdrafting my account. I've got videos coming on how I invested my first $10,000, how I structured my income so it could scale past my time, and a full breakdown of my first million, step by step, no gatekeeping. If you miss those, you're missing the how that goes with the mindset we're building in this video. And while you're here, do this for yourself. Commit to watching this one all the way through. Don't half listen while you scroll something else. Don't save it for later. Later is how years go by without anything changing. You've already put in the time to get this far. The next few affirmations are where we shift you out of anxiety, scarcity, and that constant fear of what if it all disappears, and into a calmer, more powerful relationship with money. All right, let's get into that, because affirmation number 4 is the one that finally pulled me out of survival mode and taught me to see money as a tool for freedom, not something to obsessively cling to or fear losing. Even as my income started to go up, my mindset was still stuck on barely surviving. I'd wake up, immediately open my banking app, and do that little mental panic dance.
Okay, this bill here, that payment there, maybe I can push this one to next week. It didn't matter that I was earning more than I ever had. I still felt broke. I obsessed over every small expense. I'd drive 30 minutes out of my way to save a few dollars on groceries, but completely ignore the fact that I was leaving thousands on the table by being too scared to invest in myself or my business. I was proud of being frugal, but the truth was, I wasn't being smart with money. I was just afraid of it. Scarcity was running the show. Money, to me, was this slippery, dangerous thing that could disappear at any moment. So when it did come in, I would cling to it. I'd hoard cash in my checking account, terrified to spend on anything that might not work. I said no to opportunities that required even a small financial risk, courses I knew would teach me skills, tools that would save me time, help I desperately needed, because all I could think was, what if I lose this money? On the outside, it looked like I was being cautious. On the inside, I was operating from pure fear. Affirmation number 4 started to break that pattern. I wrote it like this: money is a tool I use to create freedom for myself and others. That one sentence reframed everything. A tool is neutral. A tool is meant to be used. A tool sitting in a drawer untouched isn't safe, it's wasted. When I started repeating that line, I could feel the grip loosen a little. Instead of staring at my account asking, how do I not lose this? I started asking, how can I use this to create more freedom, more time, more options, more impact? The first big test of this was when I was considering investing in a program to improve my skills and grow my income. It was about $1,500, which at the time felt like a massive amount to give up. The old me would have said, absolutely not, that's crazy, that's rent. But I'd been working with this affirmation, saying it every morning. So I sat down and asked myself, if money is a tool to create freedom, will using it here build more freedom or less? The honest answer was more. The skills I'd learned could increase my earning power for years. That one decision, using money as a tool instead of something to hide from the world, directly led to thousands and thousands in extra income over the next 12 months. It showed up in smaller ways too. I stopped nickel and diming myself on things that bought back my time or energy. Software that automated tasks, a decent chair so my back didn't hurt while I worked, faster internet so I could actually get things done. I started seeing generous tipping, gifts, and even donating as ways of using money to create freedom and relief for other people, not just me. Money stopped being this scary monster and started becoming what it actually is: printed potential. The more I used it wisely, the more it came back. I want you to try this on for yourself. Write down, money is a tool I use to create freedom for myself and others. Say it slowly and notice what comes up. Do you feel resistance? Guilt? Doubt? Good. That's the old story surfacing. Then grab a piece of paper and answer 2 questions. If I truly believed money was a tool for freedom, what would I stop spending on? And what would I start investing in, even if it scared me a little? Maybe that means cutting mindless spending that doesn't move your life forward and redirecting some of that money into debt payoff, skills, a business, or investments that can grow. Because once you stop treating money like a fragile secret and start treating it like a tool, you free yourself from a lot of unnecessary anxiety. You stop strangling every dollar and start directing it. But here's the thing. When you begin taking bigger swings, investing in yourself, your ideas, your future, you're also going to run into more failures. And if you don't have the right relationship with failure, those moments can send you straight back into fear and scarcity. That's exactly why the next affirmation I used was all about resilience, and it changed the way I respond to every setback I've had since.
When I finally stopped obsessing over every dollar and started treating money like a tool, something interesting happened. I began taking bigger swings. I invested in myself. I launched offers. I tried new things in my career and my business. And with those bigger swings came something I wasn't prepared for at all: bigger failures. Not the cute, oh, I made a tiny mistake, haha kind. I mean launches that completely flopped, investments that went the wrong way, ideas I was sure would work that landed with a dead silence so loud it almost rang in my ears. One of the hardest hits came early on, when I poured weeks into creating what I thought was the perfect offer. I stayed up late, skipped weekends, obsessed over every detail. I built the page, crafted the emails, practiced the pitch. When it went live, I was refreshing my stats every 10 minutes, and after all that, almost nobody bought. I remember sitting there, staring at the screen, feeling this heavy, familiar wave of shame roll in. The old story kicked in immediately. See, you're not cut out for this. Other people can make real money, not you. You should just be grateful for what you have and stop trying to do more. That was my default programming. Failure equals proof I wasn't meant to be successful. Every time something didn't work, I didn't just see it as a mistake, I saw it as a verdict on me. And if you see every failure as a final judgment, you will unconsciously design your life to avoid failing, which also means avoiding anything great. I realized that if I didn't change my relationship with failure, I would either stay small forever or burn out from the emotional roller coaster. So affirmation number 5 became my armor. Temporary failure is feedback, not a verdict on my potential. I wrote it exactly like that, and I wrote it a lot. I needed the word temporary to remind me that what I was experiencing in that moment was just a snapshot, not my entire future. And I needed feedback because feedback is useful. Feedback tells you what to change. A verdict just slams the door and says, "Case closed." I started using this affirmation in real time. When something flopped, instead of spiraling into, "I'm an idiot, I'll never get this right," I would literally say out loud, "Okay, temporary failure, feedback, not a verdict on my potential." And then I'd force myself to ask better questions. What is this trying to teach me? Where did this break? What would I do differently next time? That launch I told you about? Once I pulled myself out of the emotional pit, I realized I had built something my audience didn't actually ask for. My messaging was all about what I thought was cool, not what they were struggling with. I rewrote the offer based on the questions people were actually sending me, relaunched a few weeks later, and that time it hit. Same creator, same basic skill set, different mindset around the first failure. This shift didn't just apply to business. When I made a bad investment and lost money, the old me would have said, "You're terrible with money. See, you should never invest. Just save and pray." With this affirmation, I forced myself to treat it like tuition. I paid for a lesson. What exactly was that lesson, and how could I make sure I never paid for it twice? That way, even when I lost, I won something back in the form of insight and experience. I want you to try this with your own life. Think back to your last money failure. Maybe it was debt you racked up, a job you didn't get, a business that didn't work, an investment that went south, or even just a month where you blew your budget. Write it down in one sentence. Then, underneath it, write this affirmation. Temporary failure is feedback, not a verdict on my potential. Now, ask yourself, if this is feedback, what exactly is it telling me? What would I do differently next time with what I know now? Write down at least one concrete change you can make.
This isn't about pretending failure feels good. It doesn't. It stings. But if you can train yourself to feel the sting and then immediately move into, what is this teaching me, you become dangerous in the best way. You stop being fragile. You stop making every setback a story about your worth. And when you're no longer destroyed by the idea of failing, you finally get the courage to go after things big enough to change your life. Once I stopped treating failure like a life sentence and started treating it like data, I gave myself permission to build bigger, longer-term plays. Things that wouldn't pay off instantly, but would change everything over time. That's where the next affirmation came in, because the real wealth shift happened when I stopped thinking only in hours and paychecks and started focusing on leverage and assets. Once I stopped treating failure like a life sentence and started treating it like data, I finally had the courage to try bigger things. But there was still a huge problem with how I made money. I was stuck in the hours for dollars trap. If I didn't work, I didn't earn, period. Back then, my entire money strategy was simple. Work more hours, say yes to more projects, grind harder. If you've ever done that, you know how it ends. You get exhausted, your income plateaus, and you start to realize there are only so many hours you can physically sell. I remember looking at my calendar one week when I was freelancing. Every single block of time was full. Calls, deliverables, revisions, more calls. On paper, it looked like success. I was booked out. But here's what scared me. If I got sick for a week, everything would collapse. No work, no money. If I stopped, the entire machine stopped. That's when it really hit me. As long as my income depended entirely on me trading my time, I would never build real wealth. I could be busy, I could even be comfortable, but I would never be truly free. Affirmation number 6 was my way out of that trap. I wrote it like this: my time is most valuable when I'm building systems and assets, not just working in them. The first time I wrote that, it honestly felt a little arrogant. Who was I to say my time was most valuable doing anything? I'd been trained to think my job was to do the work I was given, not to step back and design anything bigger. But the more I sat with that line, the more it started to make sense. If I wanted my life to change, I had to spend less time being the worker and more time becoming the architect. So I started asking myself a new question every day. Is what I'm doing right now something I get paid for once, or something that can pay me over and over again? That single question changed everything. Instead of creating custom work from scratch for every client, I began building templates and systems I could reuse. Instead of only doing one-on-one services, I turned what I knew into a digital product that could be sold thousands of times without me being on the clock. I automated pieces of my business, emails, onboarding, follow-ups, so they could run without me clicking every button manually. Outside of business, I applied it to my money too. I stopped letting cash just sit there and started learning how to put it into assets, things that could grow or produce income without me babysitting them 24/7. I'm not saying I went all in overnight or took crazy risks, but I did start carving out time and money for things that had the potential to pay me again and again. Content that lived online, skills that increased my earning power, and investments that worked while I slept. Here's what that looked like on a practical level. I blocked off a few hours each week that were non-negotiable asset time. During those hours, I wasn't allowed to do client work, answer emails, or check notifications. I could only work on something that once built would keep working for me. A new product, a piece of evergreen content, a system to automate part of my business, or studying how to invest smarter. It felt unproductive at first because I wasn't getting immediate cash for that time. But over months and then years, those blocks became the highest ROI hours of my entire life.
I want you to try this on right now. Write down, my time is most valuable when I'm building systems and assets, not just working in them. Say it out loud. Then grab your calendar, or just think through your last week, and be brutally honest. How many hours did you spend doing work that pays you once and then disappears? And how many hours did you spend building something that could keep paying you in the future? Your first step doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's turning something you do repeatedly into a template. Maybe it's starting a simple piece of content that can bring in clients while you sleep. Maybe it's setting aside a small percentage of your income every month to go into actual investments instead of just sitting in your checking account. The point is not to overhaul your life overnight. The point is to start shifting from being only the worker to also being the builder. Because once you start thinking in terms of leverage and assets, you stop asking, how can I squeeze more hours into my week? And start asking, how can I design something once that keeps working for me? That's the mindset that makes multi-millionaire math possible. And to make it easier for you to keep these new beliefs front and center, I actually put all 9 affirmations into a simple resource you can use every day. Let me tell you where to get that. By this point, you've probably noticed something. These aren't just nice sentences to think about once and forget. When you actually sit with them, write them down, and line up your actions with them, they start to pull you in a completely different direction. The problem is, most people watch a video like this, think, wow, that was powerful, and then by tomorrow, they remember maybe one phrase and slide straight back into their old money script.
I did that for years. I'd get fired up, swear I was going to change, and then life would happen and all those insights would just evaporate. That's why I put all 9 of these affirmations into something you can actually use day to day, not just listen to once. I created a simple, free PDF that has each affirmation written out clearly, plus a 1-line explanation and a tiny action prompt so you know exactly how to start embodying it. You can print it and stick it on your wall, keep it in your journal, or save it on your phone as a daily reference. Think of it as a little mindset dashboard you can check in with every morning instead of checking your bank balance and letting that dictate how you feel. I designed it the way I wish someone had handed it to me when I was still overdrafting my account. No fluff, no 30-page ebook you'll never read, just one clean page you can actually live with. At the top, there's a quick suggestion for how to turn this into a 5-minute daily practice, when to read them, how to say them, and how to pick your one uncomfortable action for the day so these don't stay as words on a screen. If you struggle with consistency, this turns the whole thing into a tiny system you can run without thinking too hard about it. You can grab it for free. The link is right down in the description. If you're on your phone, tap it and either save it for later or email it to yourself so it doesn't disappear into the void. Don't overcomplicate it. Print it, tape it somewhere you can't ignore, or set one of the affirmations as your lock screen each week. The whole point is to keep these ideas in front of your face long enough for your brain to accept them as your new normal.
And don't go anywhere yet, because the most uncomfortable and most profitable shift I ever made is still coming. Affirmation number 7 is the one I almost deleted from this video because of how much it challenged me at the beginning, but it's also the one that's added the most zeros to my net worth. Let's get into it. I need to be honest with you about something most people never talk about. I did not feel ready for big money when it finally started showing up. I thought once I cracked 6 figures or had my first $20,000 month, I'd feel confident, powerful, like, yes, this is who I am now. That is not what happened. The first time I had what most people would call a big win, a large payment hit my account in a single day, my first emotion wasn't excitement, it was panic. I opened my banking app, saw this number I'd never seen attached to my name before, and my chest tightened. My mind went straight to, this has to be a mistake. Who do you think you are to be trusted with this much? What if you screw this up? What if it all disappears? Nobody tells you this, but there is a level of money you are subconsciously comfortable with. Anything above that, even if it's more, feels wrong, unsafe, like you're wearing clothes that don't fit. And if you don't expand that comfort level, you will find ways to get rid of the extra. You'll overspend. You'll undercharge on the next deal. You'll accidentally miss opportunities. You'll self-sabotage until you're back at the number your nervous system recognizes as normal. I watched myself do exactly that. Every time my account balance shot up, I would suddenly have urgent reasons to drain it. Extra generosity, random upgrades, impulsive decisions that made no sense. On the surface, it looked like I was just living a little. Underneath, I was trying to get back to my financial comfort zone. That's why affirmation number 7 was the hardest one for me to adopt and also the most profitable. I wrote it like this: I am comfortable receiving, holding, and growing large amounts of money. The first time I tried to say that sentence out loud, I could barely get through it. Receiving already felt edgy. Holding felt dangerous, like I was hoarding. Growing large amounts felt almost arrogant. My throat got tight, my stomach flipped, and my brain fired back with every limiting belief I'd ever absorbed. If you have a lot, other people have less. People will judge you. You'll change. You'll become greedy. You'll lose it all and be humiliated. But I knew this was the ceiling I had to break. So I treated this affirmation like exposure therapy for my money fears. Every morning, I'd sit quietly, take a few breaths, and then say slowly, I am comfortable receiving, holding, and growing large amounts of money. I'd notice exactly where my body tensed up, chest, jaw, shoulders, and I'd keep breathing until it softened just a little. I started pairing the words with real-world evidence. When a big invoice got paid, instead of instantly sending the money out, I'd leave it sitting there on purpose and repeat, I am allowed to hold this. I am learning to be comfortable with this. When I invested a meaningful chunk into something that could grow, I'd say the same line again.
reminding myself that growth wasn't something to fear, it was the point. Slowly, my normal shifted. Seeing bigger balances stopped triggering panic. Saying yes to larger deals stopped feeling like I was tricking someone. Making investment decisions became less about how do I not lose and more about how do I steward this wisely so it multiplies. This affirmation helped me move from I can make decent money to I can be trusted with and at peace with very large sums. That shift alone is responsible for at least 7 figures of my net worth because I stopped unconsciously shrinking back down every time things expanded. I want you to experience this for yourself right now. Pause whatever else you're doing, sit up a little straighter, and say this out loud. Yes, actually out loud. I am comfortable receiving, holding, and growing large amounts of money. Notice what happens in your body. Do you laugh a little? Do you roll your eyes? Do you feel a knot in your stomach or a voice in your head saying, "No, you're not"? That reaction is gold. That's the exact edge we're stretching.
Then ask yourself, at what number would I start to feel uncomfortable having just sitting in my account? Be honest. Is it $5,000, $20,000, $100,000? Write that number down. That is your current comfort ceiling. Your work, using this affirmation, is to gently increase that ceiling, not just by wanting more, but by practicing being calm, responsible, and unapologetic about receiving and holding more when it comes. Because once you stop freaking out at the idea of big money, you stop unconsciously pushing it away. Instead of scrambling to get rid of it or hide from it, you can finally ask better questions. How can I use this to create more value, more security, more freedom? And that's the bridge to the next shift I made, realizing that the fastest, most fulfilling way to grow my wealth was to make sure other people were winning with me. That's exactly what the next affirmation is all about. By the time I started getting comfortable with bigger amounts of money, something else began to bother me. For a while, my goals were all about me, my debt, my freedom, my lifestyle, my security. And there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. They were crucial in the beginning. But I noticed that when I hit certain milestones, like my first 6-figure year or my first big investment win, the satisfaction faded faster than I expected. I'd have a good week, celebrate, and then this question would creep in. Okay, now what? Is it just more forever? Chasing bigger numbers for their own sake started to feel strangely empty. At the same time, I noticed a pattern in the people I admired who were genuinely wealthy and seemed genuinely happy. They all had one thing in common. Their money was a side effect of the value they created for other people. They weren't just trying to take a bigger slice of the pie, they were baking more pies. Their focus wasn't how do I get rich, it was how do I help as many people as possible win and structure it in a way that pays me fairly. When I zoomed out and looked at my own journey, every meaningful jump in income had happened when I stopped obsessing over my needs and started obsessing over solving someone else's problem. That insight turned into affirmation number 8. I get rich by helping others win at scale. The at scale part was important. I'd already seen that I could help one client at a time and make okay money. But real, sustainable wealth comes when you find a way to help dozens, hundreds, even thousands of people, and you build systems, products, or services that allow that to happen without you personally holding every single hand 24/7. The first time I wrote that affirmation, it felt almost too simple. But then I started measuring every idea against it. Instead of asking, how can I make an extra $1,000 this month, I began asking, who am I helping, what result am I giving them, and how could I help 10x more people get that result? When I launched offers, I stopped centering my own need for income and started centering the transformation I was providing. I dug into my audience's problems, read every comment, every email, every DM, and asked, where are they stuck? What do they desperately want that I can actually deliver? Products got better, services got clearer, content became more useful. Funny enough, when I shifted my focus like that, the money followed faster than when I was purely chasing the money. This affirmation pushed me to think in terms of leverage again, but from a different angle. If I could help someone through a one-on-one call, could I distill that into a course or a program that helped hundreds? If I could answer a question for one person in an email, could I turn that answer into a video or an article that helped thousands?
If I could solve a problem manually, could I build a tool, a checklist, a template that solved it for people without me being there? Helping others win at scale stopped being a nice slogan and started becoming the filter I ran my business decisions through.
I also noticed how this mindset cleaned up a lot of the weirdness people have about selling. When you truly believe, I get rich by helping others win, you stop feeling like you're tricking people or taking their money. You're offering an exchange, their investment for a result that actually matters to them. If you can't clearly see how they win, that's your cue to improve what you're offering, not to just push harder. Ironically, selling became easier when my goals shifted from how do I convince them to how do I make this such a clear win for them that it almost feels unfair in their favor. I want you to personalize this right now. Ask yourself, who do I help, or who could I help if I leaned into what I know and what I can do? What problem do they wake up thinking about? What result would genuinely change their life, their work, their health, their money, their relationships? Write that down in one sentence. Then underneath, write, I get rich by helping that person win at scale. Let that idea sit with you. How would your choices change if your primary job was to create wins for those people and to find ways to do it for more of them, more efficiently? This is where money starts to feel different. It stops being this isolated, selfish pursuit and becomes a scoreboard of how many people you've helped and how effectively you've built the systems to support them. And once I saw wealth that way, as a reflection of the value I was creating in other people's lives, it set me up for the final shift, thinking beyond just my lifetime, my bills, and my comfort, and asking what kind of long-term impact and legacy I actually wanted my money to have. That's where the 9th and final affirmation comes in. Even after I started making real money and helping a lot of people, there was one more shift I had to make, and this one changed everything about how I live, not just how I earn. For a long time, my goals were all short-term. Pay off this debt, hit this monthly target, save this much by the end of the year. Those are good goals, and they were necessary at the start, but I noticed something strange. Every time I hit a big milestone, the high faded pretty fast. I'd celebrate, maybe upgrade something in my life, and then back to the same treadmill. More revenue, more launches, more deals. It started to feel like I was just playing an endless game of next level with no real destination. Then I had a moment that shook me. I was looking at a chart of compound interest, the classic one that shows what happens if you invest consistently over 10, 20, 30 years, and it hit me like a punch. Most of the real magic doesn't happen in year 1 or even year 5. It happens in the later years, when time and consistency start doing the heavy lifting for you. I realized I'd been living like everything that mattered had to happen in the next 12 months. I was optimizing for the next launch, the next client, the next bump, not for the next decade. So affirmation number 9 became my anchor. I think in decades, act today, and use wealth to create freedom and opportunity for others. That first part, think in decades, instantly calmed me down. It gave me permission to stop trying to cram a lifetime of achievement in the next quarter. The second part, act today, kept me from using that long view as an excuse to procrastinate. And the last part, for others, pulled me out of the endless loop of just upgrading my own lifestyle and started me thinking about legacy, impact, and what my money would mean beyond my own comfort. When I started using this affirmation, my decisions changed. I stopped chasing every shiny tactic that promised quick cash but didn't build anything lasting. I doubled down on things that might be slow in the beginning but powerful over time, building a brand instead of just hustling for one-off sales, creating assets that could live online for years, investing in boring, consistent vehicles instead of gambling on whatever was trendy that month. I began asking, will future me 10 years from now thank me for this or be cleaning up the mess from it?
It also changed how I thought about what my money was for. Instead of only thinking in terms of my own financial independence, I started asking, how can this create options for my family?
What causes do I care about enough to fund in a serious way? Who can I hire, mentor, or back so they can change their own lives? Wealth stopped being just about never worrying about bills again and started becoming about building something that could outlast me. Businesses that employ people, investments that keep growing, support that continues even when I'm not the one in the room. I want you to sit with this affirmation and make it your own. I think in decades, act today, and use wealth to create freedom and opportunity for others. Say it slowly, then ask yourself 3 questions and write down your answers. 1. If I really thought in decades, what would I be building or investing in that I'm currently ignoring because it's too slow? 2. What's one long-term goal, 10+ years out, that feels a little scary but incredibly meaningful? 3. Who specifically do I want my success to benefit besides me? Family, community, causes, future generations? Pick one long-term move and one small action you can take today that points you in that direction. Opening an investment account, starting the first piece of a long-term project, having a conversation with someone you want to help, or simply committing in writing to a 10-year vision. When you start thinking like this, you stop being obsessed with quick wins and start playing a completely different game. The game that most multimillionaires are quietly playing while everyone else is chasing the next tiny dopamine hit. Now, we've covered a lot. 9 affirmations, 9 identity shifts, 9 new sets of instructions for your brain. Let's pull it all together and turn this from interesting video into an actual 30-day challenge that can change the way you earn, keep, and grow money. Take a second and notice how different your inner conversation about money probably feels now compared to when you clicked on this video. At the start, maybe your story sounded like mine used to. I'm just not a money person. I always mess this up. People like me don't become rich. We've spent this entire video rewriting that script. We started with who you believe you are, shifting from I'm always behind to I'm the kind of person who creates massive value and gets paid accordingly. We cleaned up the guilt around earning more with I deserve to be well compensated for the value I create. Then we got out of the realm of theory and into action. Every day I take one uncomfortable step that grows my net worth. From there, we changed your relationship with money itself. No more treating it like a monster to fear, but as a tool you use to create freedom for yourself and others. We rewired how you see failure, not as proof you're doomed, but as temporary feedback on the path to something bigger. We pulled you out of the hours for dollars trap and into leverage and assets, with the realization that your time is most valuable when you're building things that can pay you again and again. We stretched your nervous system to get comfortable receiving, holding, and growing large amounts of money instead of subconsciously pushing them away. Then we tied your wealth to something deeper, helping others win at scale, and thinking in decades while you act today to create freedom and opportunity beyond just your own life. Now the real question is, what are you going to do with all of this? I don't want this to be just another inspiring video that you forget by tomorrow. So here's your 30-day challenge. Don't try to juggle all 9 affirmations at once. Pick one, just one that hit you in the gut the most, the one that felt a little too real or a little too uncomfortable. Maybe it was the identity shift. Maybe it was deserving more. Maybe it was getting comfortable with big numbers. Whatever it is, claim it. Write that one affirmation down by hand 10 times every morning for the next 30 days. Say it out loud, even if your voice shakes. And every single day, pair it with one uncomfortable money action that lines up with it. Send the email, raise the price, start the account, apply for the job, make the offer, invest the first small amount. 30 days from now, you will not be the same person making the same decisions you are today. I want you to make this public because that's how you lock it in. Scroll down and tell me in the comments which affirmation are you choosing, 1 through 9, and what's the first uncomfortable money action you're committing to today. When you write it out, you're not just telling me, you're telling yourself. And if you want help remembering and actually using these, don't forget I put all 9 affirmations into a simple one-page PDF you can print or save to your phone. The link is in the description. Grab it, stick it somewhere you'll see every day, and let it be your daily check-in for the next month. And if you're thinking, okay, I'm in, I'm changing my mindset, but I also want to know exactly what to do to build this kind of wealth, that's where we go next. In the video right here, I break down the tactical side, how I went from your starting point to multi-millionaire, step by step. No fluff, no secrets. Click that, keep this momentum going, and let the person you've been becoming in your head finally show up in your bank account.